All right, John. So let's talk about Kurt. Oh, you were going to try to.
I was just doing.
I don't know if that'll work.
I don't know what I was doing.
Okay. Anyway,
it felt really
it did
good.
well. You know.
Oh, speaking of that, okay. Here's the thing we can start
Yeah.
this one with. We're going to come back and talk more about travel and courtesy and so on. So I'm sure that's why most of you
Right.
jumped on. Was I need more?
Oh wait,
courtesy.
we have to start with this.
PoddiMouths. Oh, please.
Calm down, folks. Calm down.
Recorded. Can we have recorded in front of a live studio audience?
You know, that's funny. So, are you familiar with Michael Rosenbaum?
I
He
know the
played
name.
Lex Luthor in Smallville. He's an actor. He has a podcast now called.
Of course, he played Lex Luthor in Smallville.
Yeah.
He's an actor.
Yeah.
Is he? He's not a
No,
gas
he's not a
station
gas station
attendant.
Not anymore.
Okay.
But I like him because he likes hockey and stuff like that. But he also has a podcast called Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum, and he starts every single podcast with Inside of You was not filmed in front of a live studio audience. Yeah, so we can't steal that because he's already using it.
We can say it is filmed
We could,
in
but
front
then
of
we'd
a
be
live
lying.
studio audience. No, my dog is right
That's true.
here.
Mine aren't up here. I closed the door so they couldn't bother me. They
That's
smell.
fine.
I need to
We
give
could
them a
say
bath.
in front of a sleeping
studio. Well,
audience.
hell, our audience in general is probably sleeping at this point. We're only 2 minutes into the show.
Yes. That is their prerogative, my friend.
My prerogative. Sorry. The 80s, 90s flashback.
Very well done.
Oh, my goodness.
So we were talking about doing the courtesy thing, and
Courtesy flush.
in particular when it comes to flying, and in particular in flying, just sitting next to people in the whole shower. Let's be real with this because we've done an unshowered PoddiMouths unshowered.
Yeah, recent episode. Yeah.
Broadcast. That was
I
a
didn't
couple weeks
smell
ago.
though because here's the thing: if I don't shower during the day, it's probably because I showered the night before, and I'm comfortable doing it. I usually shower.
Typically,
to be
that's me
honest,
too.
when I'm at home, I'll shower once a day. When I'm traveling, I shower twice a day.
It really depends for me because I try to work it around. Look, when you get, especially if you're in a drier area, Phoenix or Denver or wherever, I don't want to shower twice a day because my skin dries out, and it's just, and that's everything, hair and so on. So I try to work it around trips to the gym if I'm going to work out, and so yeah, some mornings it might be 10 o'clock before I get to the gym because I'm working or doing something. And, wow, you haven't showered. You're a pig. Well, I'm going to the gym, and I'm not going to shower beforehand. Yeah. And honestly, if somebody's in the gym and they're complaining, wow, you're sweaty. We're in the gym. Of course I'm sweaty.
So
you don't get that in most of the
no, you don't. And interestingly enough, so I'm going to make fun of my wife a little bit. I hope she's not listening, but
oh, thank
not
goodness.
really going to make fun of her.
I was waiting on this. Hey, welcome everyone to the Make Fun of Jen.
That's right. No,
podcast. She's going to love
It's
this.
interesting because so if it's a Saturday and I know I'm going to go out and mow the lawn, I'm not going to take a shower right away. Usually I roll out of bed, brush my teeth, go take a shower, and I go do my day. Doesn't matter what day it is. That's what I normally do. But if I know I'm going to do something where I'm going to get sweaty, like go to the gym, which me in a gym, I haven't seen the inside of a gym probably in 5 years. And that's even, when Jim is splayed out in front of me on an operating table, not because I'm a surgeon. Sorry. It was, this doesn't deserve it, but I just have to.
I haven't been in front of Jim for a long time. Hi, Jim.
Exactly. So anyway, but Jennifer will be planning on working in the yard or going to do something or even going to the studio to work out. She'll take a shower before she does it. She can't get out of that cycle where she doesn't take a shower first thing in the morning. And I think that's so funny.
I would tell you to marry her if you were already married to her because that's what women do. And that's look, I get it. It's just that we're expected to be a little gross. And so I like not to
Absolutely.
disappoint.
I think you're spot on right there. Yeah. I agree.
If I don't smell like gasoline a little bit after mowing the lawn, and I've got some grass in my shirt, look, I wasn't doing it the right way.
That's right. Very true. But here's the interesting thing. Speaking of smelling like gas, the only thing now that I have at the house that makes me smell like gas is my leaf blower. I have gone totally electric on my lawnmower, totally electric on my weed whacker, and well, it's really the only things that I use. So.
And so let me ask about that, because we're actually someday when our house is done, we'll actually be having some sod we have to take care of. We need to talk about that too. But I've looked at electric mowers, and that would be great. And I'm enthused about that part of it, because you know what? They're sort of reasonably priced. How is the power, though?
Incredible. My
really
electric
good?
mower is a lot better than my gas mower.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
the one thing I will say,
Power-wise.
and this is not, I don't think this is obviously the mower itself. It's just the blade that came with it. The metal is extra soft. So, I have a very rocky, very woody backyard. Lots of roots that are coming up. So, I have to sharpen my blade after 2 mows.
Oh,
So,
wow.
but
Okay.
that again, I could probably go out and buy one that's a little bit harder steel, and probably not have that problem. That's the only other complaint I have, which it may not be a complaint. I haven't had an issue. Is mine is completely plastic. That was the one thing I didn't like. I have an ego. Well, I have an ego, but I have an ego.
No kidding. Jeez. Yeah, we all know
Exactly.
that.
And all of the egos are 100% plastic, but it seems to hold up pretty well. I was a little bit scared about that. I did look at the DeWalt. It was about the same price, and honestly, the only reason I didn't get the DeWalt, because I'm a big fan of DeWalt. They're not a sponsor. Pretty much all my other tools are DeWalt,
Not yet.
but I didn't want to drive across town to go get it, whereas I could go get the Ego a mile away. So that was really the deciding factor between the DeWalt and the Ego, because the specs were pretty much the same. The biggest difference was, besides the distance, was the DeWalt was metal and the Ego was plastic.
Well, I mean, to me, with an electric mower or anything, frankly, electric, weight savings makes
Oh, it does.
sense.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're trying to make the battery last
Yep.
longer and get more power out of it. And is it self-propelled
It is.
too, or is it not?
It is. It's got a trigger.
And so with that also is going to be, that's part of the deal, because if you have one that's self-propelled, it's using energy to move whatever weight you have in front of it. So I would think, I know in electric vehicles, a lot of them are, they look at weights of what's carbon fiber or aluminum or things like that.
No,
So,
I'm very happy with mine. I also have the option, which I don't. Yeah, I guess I could technically. I have 3 different options for the way I mow. I can bag it, I can mulch it, or I can spit it out. And it also has the option for, I just got the cheaper one, which is it's technically 1 blade, but they call it a 2 blade. But you can also get 4 blades. So it's instead of just straight across, it's a cross like that.
Sure.
And that's supposed to be really good if you have very thick grass, because it mulches. But yeah, I haven't really, for my lawn is, like I said, I'm on a hill. So most of my lawn is about like that, which I'm about, what would you say? That's a 30-degree angle.
That's great.
Yeah, it's quite an angle. I mean, I don't have that much grass in the backyard. The front yard is finally growing. Last year I didn't have any grass. This year I actually have grass, thanks to.
Was it because of the COVID?
Yeah, that's exactly it. No, it's I just have a lot of runoff, a lot of drainage. It just needed a lot of tender loving care, and I have instead of me trying to put all the nutrients and stuff in it, I actually hired a service. I hired them last fall. They treated it all winter, and they're treating it now, and it's just.
And we're wondering about that too. Maybe that's once the house is done. Maybe that's because we have a service here in the rental we're in, but since it's not our property, it's mostly weeds. So we have them maybe once a month is all we have them come, and it's not long grass. It's just weeds, and you get a couple and pull them, and you're good for another week. But we'll have sod out at the house eventually, so we may very well
This is so True Green, not a sponsor, is who we have come in and they treat it every month, but then once a year they aerate it and they lay down seed. And this year we actually, most of the time our yard was pretty much all weeds. It was all, and that's pretty much why it died off last year, because we treated it to get rid of the weeds. And we seeded it, but I guess we used the wrong. We had another company come in and do it, just a mom and pop, and I guess they used the wrong seed or something, as it just didn't take. And True Green comes in, and like I said, they came in. The very first thing they did was aerate and seed. Then they came back the next month and they started treating, and they've been treating every month since. We have a ton of grass this year, which is fantastic. Awesome. It's the first time we've ever had grass in this house.
Yeah, we used to aerate, if not every year, every other year in the fall and in Wisconsin, and it made a huge difference. It just takes the soil is not so crowded anymore, taking the plugs out and everything, and it's amazing.
It is, and this was a suggestion by my neighbor who's across the street, who we lovingly refer to, and so we've lived in this house now 5 years. It'll be 5 years in June. So we haven't. So when we talked to him, he was delivering some of my mail. I think it was right after we bought Jen's new car. So for some reason, the address on that they put was his address because it's one number off. Oh, and they just messed it up on the paperwork. So I had to get that changed through the company or the bank. But anyway, he was walking it over. That was the first time in 4 years we've met him. Because he's very, I think the neighbors know him, but he doesn't talk to many of the neighbors. But we refer to him as nice lawn guy, because he has the most beautiful lawn in the entire neighborhood. And he's very meticulous about it. So I said, I said, listen, you have seen how much we've struggled with this lawn. You've seen everything we've tried to do. How do you make your lawn so beautiful? And he's the one who said, I use True Green. So that's why we've gone that route, and we haven't looked back.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good
but
for you.
To answer your question, I would highly recommend the electric. It's so easy. It's so quiet. I can listen to podcasts while I'm mowing the lawn because it's not loud. Mm-hmm. I do like my Ego. I got an Ego weed whacker as well, a weed whip. Mm-hmm. And it can use the same battery from the mower, but it gets really heavy if you do that because the mower battery is much bigger. But it comes with a small battery, so you can interchange both. You could put the small battery in the mower as well if you don't have a big yard, and they charge pretty quickly. And I've only once have I ever run out of battery in the lawnmower, and that was because I was really, really tired that day, and I was using the self-propel, pretty much the whole time. Mm-hmm. And so it was the whole. I think what we have, a quarter of an acre, maybe a little bit bigger than that. Not quite a half an acre, but not quite a quarter. So maybe a third of an acre. And it was all uphill. So this one is supposed to be able to do.
Except when you went down.
This one is supposed to be able to handle a half acre on one battery charge.
Interesting. Well, that's something we'll look at, I'm guessing, unless we hire a service to do
and the weed whip is even easier. I mean, it's incredible. It's so light, and you just go, you hit a button, and it's on. It's not, you don't.
It does a great job.
Fantastic. It's the best. It's honestly, I have a gas one too, which I was using even in tandem with this one, and I probably still will for edging because it just has a little bit more power.
Sure.
But even that one, sometimes I'm like, I don't even need to pull the other one out. This one's fine. Did everything I needed it to do.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's the hot tip. Here's the downside I get here. Was out in the truck this morning, and there is a neighbor down the street watering the lawn. And most of these places, not all of them, but several of the places in this area are well water. And there is just an inherent sulfur smell to the well water here. And we are going to have well water at our place too. Treated, obviously. We'll treat it and spend way too much money making it perfect to drink. But for watering, it's always direct from the well, and it's almost always sulfur, and it just stinks. And I drive by this house, and I just get the waft thing of it's so
Maybe it's not the water.
nasty.
Maybe they're literally grounding up bad eggs and spreading it out as fertilizer.
Maybe so. Maybe so. Hey, let's just throw it out in the yard. That's fine. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it is nasty. And then one of the houses we rented before we got here in Venice, Florida, not too far away, the water out of the faucet wasn't treated well. It was also sulfury. Ick, can't do it. And as I told you, that's my water thing. Is it's got to be good water, otherwise I'm out.
Did you tell me you were putting a pool in or no?
Yeah, we are putting a pool.
So
yes, at least they tell us we are. We're still waiting.
You definitely don't want to put sulfur in your pool. Sulfur water.
Oh no. That will be, and I'm guessing the pool company does it, so they will be bringing in the water too.
Are you doing a saltwater pool, or are you going to use chlorine?
It's a saline pool.
I love the saline pools.
Well, the answer to the both is the same. It is a saline reaction, or a chlorine reaction from the saline in the pool. And so I'm trying to learn about that as much as I can. We'll probably have a pool company, but it's just kind of a neat thing to learn about. Some people who own them, apparently, they'll just throw in a bag of soft
that's all we did
once a month,
we converted our pool when I was growing up to a saltwater or a saline, and that's
they're so much better for your skin and your hair.
And dogs like to swim in them.
Yeah. I don't think Indy will. I'm happy about that because we've had dogs that would swim. Oh my gosh. We had a golden, we had an above ground pool in Wisconsin, and in the winter it would get water in the stupid cover. And, it was a foot deep or something like that after it would rain. He would run and jump in that on top of the cover. Thankfully supported him, but we had to drag his butt out of there because he was a water dog. And when he was a puppy, we had a baby pool, a kiddie pool. It was a foot and a half deep or something like that. He would get under the water, open his eyes, and look up at us from under the water. He just loved being in the water all the time.
So
Indy, not so
we
much.
had a solar cover on the pool, and we had a German Shepherd, and we had the German Shepherd as long as we had the pool. So he's used to it. But one year, for some reason, and I remember I was probably 17 or 18, so it was summer, and I had worked a late shift at the golf course, and I came home and I was sleeping, and all of a sudden I hear my mom screaming. And I'm like, what's going on? And I run from my bedroom, which is on the other side of the house, away from the pool, all the way through the house, out, and I see the dog in the middle of the pool. She's freaking out because he's just laying there on the top, and she's like, I don't know how we don't know why he got out there, but he got out there, got scared, but instead of, such a great dog. Instead of freaking out, he just laid down. He figured one of us would go in there and get him, which I did. I ended up having to jump in the pool and carry him out, but it was so funny. I'm like, what? You've been around this pool your whole life, and now you decide to go.
What today?
Yeah, exactly. It was probably a squirrel, but.
Could have been. Could have been.
So anyway.
It is. Yep.
Talking about pools, talking about sailing, talking about dogs.
Pools, and so let's house it up just for a second. So it's kind of interesting.
Give us an update too.
Where they're going now. Well, I will, and that's I guess what I'm talking about because we it's been probably 3 weeks now. We talked with a builder, and he's a really good guy. And sadly, some of the stuff that he normally buys is been tough to get, but prices have gone through the roof. So we're paying a certain amount in addition over and above what the contract was for the house, just because he's just passing on real costs. Hopefully. Long story short, it's not ridiculous, and we see the receipts. Okay. So, but he just feels bad about it. But
it is what it is.
The way it is, and sadly, things like trusses have almost doubled in price since a year
Hey, John,
ago.
this is a great time to buy a house. To build a house. Did you know that? You should really go ahead and build a house right now.
Well, you might say that, but here's the other part of it, and this is the part that people don't always think about. It makes the house worth more when it's built, too. And so a house that we planned on being X amount of dollars when we were finished with it is going to be no less than $100,000 more retail than what it was when we said we were going to build it. So it's still the percentage of it, and we're not going to sell it. I told Lisa, so how much would it have to be after going through this year plus of waiting on the house to be built for you to say, oh, let's just sell it and get another one or build another one? And she said, there's not enough money.
Well, and it's funny you say that in a different vein too. It's a lot of, I think I've mentioned this before, but a lot of people in our neighborhood, including us, said once our houses get to a certain point, hell, we're going to sell and get the hell out and go buy a house or build a house or do something we really want to do. And then you realize if the house gets up to be that high, which ours passed that number $40,000 ago. It gets that number and you're like, yeah, but where would we go? We can't afford any of the houses.
That's just it. Suddenly, I mean, if you're going to move out of the area to a less expensive part of the country or whatever, okay, you can make an argument for that. But it's anybody. Same here. People are, selling their houses right and left. But if you can't afford to get into one, and rent is the same way. Rent is through the roof because everybody wants a place. So it's not a perfect thing by any stretch. And of course, they're so busy building. There are houses going up everywhere here. So
I bet.
You just know how busy all the builders are. Anyway, this guy's a good guy, and we believe he's working it as best he can. We have, I think I told you 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, we have the cinder block walls. They are up, so the exterior walls. But that's it. And so we're waiting on concrete, which is poured in the walls around the rebar. And then there's something called a lintel, which goes around the top, which is a concrete a stabilizer, essentially, that is underneath the trusses, which will become the roof. So we're waiting on the concrete. Everything else is there. They've done grading. They've done so on. He claims once the roof goes on, the rest starts happening pretty quickly. So we'll see. We'll believe that when we see it. The pool has not been dug yet because the roof goes on first, and then he says because you don't want people falling off the roof into the into the big pit behind. I said, all right,
kind of makes sense. Sure.
Yeah, they'll dig it after that. Garage doors go on. Once it's dried in, then they can lock it. Then they can start bringing other things in. But it's been a real challenge for some because people come and steal the trusses. They'll come and steal wood if you have it stacked up.
So he's not stacking wood out there or anything.
He's not doing anything like that. In fact, he took after it was assembled, took the extra cinder block away.
Wow.
Because they've stolen that too. It's just unbelievable.
Some people, again, courtesy, common courtesy. I don't know if you'd call it that.
Oh,
but,
I got it for free. Yeah, no, it sounds like lawlessness is probably what's causing it. But anyway, so we feel like we're getting closer. Good. It's just 3 weeks and you don't see any changes, and you go, come on. But that's teaching us patience. I'm trying to look at the bright side of things.
And it's funny. So my dad, I think I've explained where my dad lives in southwest North Dakota. And I have no desire. I'm going to just preface this with I have no desire to move out there. Jen doesn't have any desire to move out there. While it would be kind of cool to live very close to my dad, which I did when I was younger, but obviously not since I've been an adult. We've always lived, about 1,000 miles away from each other. I would have a tough time living in a small town. I'll admit that. But the allure of having, and maybe it's this, the allure of having a property in a small town where you can get away from some of that shit. It's hard to ignore. It really is hard to ignore. Yeah. And so I followed this thing on Instagram. It's called Cheap Old Houses, and they show old houses from all over the country that need some repair, but they're cheap and they're beautiful, and a lot of them are old, big Victorian homes, which I'm a big fan of. I'm a big fan of a lot of different architecture, but Victorians, I do love Victorians as well. I was sitting on the airplane and I was just flipping through Instagram, and all of a sudden, boom, here's one house that I'm looking at. I'm like, that's a pretty cool house. Beach, North Dakota, which is the town that my dad used to own his dojo in, which is right next to the town he lives in, which he doesn't live in a town, but his mailing address town. It's 10 miles away. So I'm like, and it's less than $70,000. And so I send it to Jen and say, "You in?" She's like, "Buy it." Yeah, it was pretty crazy to see that, but it was a pretty old house. Not the prettiest I've seen, but it was it was kind of neat to see that.
And I'm with you on that, and something like that would be fun, and we've talked about that too. In fact, before we decided to build, we were looking at some fixer-uppers that. At some point, though, the price of the house keeps going up because people go, "Oh, look what the market's bringing." Well, it still doesn't diminish the $100,000 worth of work the place needs. So, you've got to do that extra too. I would love to do something like that. The only problem, especially, you got to be careful if it's a historical house, because then suddenly you have the state, as you know, the state, the county, even the cities, the towns. Who, you can't do this, or you have to have original windows, or you have to
or like the city of St. Louis in the early 2000s saying you have to fix up the outside of your house before you can even touch the inside. How does that make any sense?
Stupid. It doesn't. It doesn't. Because when people drive by, we want it to look
beautiful. But I want to live in it.
Regardless of the inside. Exactly. Oh, is that a pup tent I can see through the window? Yeah, because that's all I can afford. Since I fixed up the outside.
Exactly.
Jeez. Yeah, that's one of the things. And you don't see that. And a lot of people have said that too about, buying property in Colorado or Montana or what have you. And you look in there, oh man, look at this. You do a Google Maps look and this is awesome. And then you find out later, well, actually you don't have access to that without going through somebody else's property.
I follow someone, I get emails every other day or so. It's called Landio. Great. Oh, yeah, it's a great company. It really is. I think what they're doing is phenomenal, but it's a lot of property like that where you're seeing, you can get 20 acres in Colorado with mountain views. Yeah, but it's in the middle of someone else's field.
You have to land a helicopter there.
It's like these people are like, I'll sell the land cheap and see if I can sucker someone into it, because then I'll just charge them an arm and a leg for access.
Access, exactly. And then they have to, and then I got to dig a well. Well, good luck with that.
Charge you extra to expand your easement.
It's, oh my gosh, it's just incredible. But so there are all these places that are,
and something
not that Landio is one of them, but a lot of people trying to get you.
And something my dad learned the hard way when he bought his property. He bought it fairly inexpensively. But then when you start talking about land out west, especially in oil country, you don't buy, if your land is cheap, it's probably because you're only buying the first 10 feet or 12 feet. Everything below that is still owned by somebody else.
Exactly, which is ridiculous. Drilling rights.
Exactly.
Well, wait a second. Do I own it or don't I? Well, part of it.
Yeah, and so my dad, he did at one point try to buy it before the big oil boom. Tried to buy the mineral rights from the family. It's owned in a family trust. So, but now it's worth multi millions of dollars just for his little chunk of land, and he's been lucky so far. They haven't wanted to let anyone on the property to drill, but they could just say, "Yep, you can have." Now, I do think he has one thing that's in his favor is he actually has documented Native American sites on his property. So they can't touch that. Like he's got a plateau that's up on the eastern side of his property, and on that plateau you can see the rock rings where they used to put teepees. It's really
wow.
cool. But so they can't really go on his property and touch it. Or at least he has something to fight with if they do.
Yeah, right, exactly. Which it seems like it would be a lot easier for them to just say, we'll tackle another piece of land rather than going
exactly.
through
And
that.
you're also talking most other landowners out there own thousands of acres, and his is just a measly little 700-acre plot. Out there, it's measly. I thought the same. I had that same reaction when he was telling me.
Sure.
He's like, "Yeah, this is called a hobby farm out here."
Yeah. Wow, it's amazing. So how far southwest is he?
So he is.
Is he still in the Black Hills?
He's in the Black Hills.
Area?
Yep. Because a lot of people don't know this, but the Black Hill, not the Black Hills. The what do they call that? I guess it is called the Black Hills, but there's another name for it.
Oh, let's find out.
Well, while you're finding that out, I'll explain. So he lives in the southwestern corner. In the southwestern corner, there's actually Teddy Roosevelt State Park. And Teddy Roosevelt State Park is right on the border of North Dakota and South Dakota. And then it comes east a little bit, then goes up, and then goes back west. So it's like a horseshoe in North Dakota.
Okay.
And in between, there's that Golden Valley area, which is where Beach and Sentinel Butte and Medora are. And that's where he lives. So his place is, I think, roughly 30 miles from the Montana border.
Okay, so he's not far. Yeah, I see right along 94,
Yep.
yes? So is he north or south of 94?
Technically, Sentinel Butte is his mailing address. Sentinel Butte is south of 94, but he is north of 94.
Yeah.
So if you see the Sentinel
Butte
exit,
Got it.
you would go north.
Cool. That's exit 11, just in case anyone
You want to go visit my dad? Yeah,
score
just
at
make
home.
sure that you get good mud tires because, whew.
I would think. And, of course, it's right next to the famous Camel's Hump Lake Recreation
Yes, you
area.
pass Camel's Hump or whatever it's called. He's actually canoed there. It's a cute little...
I'm sorry? He's canoed there. Okay.
It's a cute little lake.
I didn't... Well, there's Home on the Range Cemetery, which is not far either. I'd recommend
and
that.
If you really want a good life out there, there's a place that my mom and I stayed, and I'm always looking up stuff, and there was a commercial property out there for sale, and it happened to be a dude ranch that we stayed at, and I got excited.
Okay.
But it's only like 20 acres, and it's $1.2 million, but you've got the whole hotel and the bar and the restaurant and all of the other outbuildings and stuff like that. So it's probably a good deal for that, and it's right next to Medora. So I emailed my dad and I said, "Dad, did you know this place?" And I can't remember the name. "Did you know this place was for sale?" And he said, "Yeah, it's been for sale ever since I've lived out here. It's been about 20 years." I guess they just never sold it. I guess no one wants to pay $1.2 million for that place.
Yeah, that's and I don't know it obviously, but it reminds me of a place that that my buddy Matt and I went to. It was really funny. I may have told you the whole story at one point or another, but that's okay. We repeat ourselves a lot. We repeat ourselves a lot.
We do.
We went to Vegas. We were there for some stupid dude's thing, and he said, let's take you to. Let's just drive out to this one place. It's called Primm, Primm,
you did say that.
and it's almost near the California border. And he said it's like 10 minutes. It's not that far. An hour later, we're still finally getting to Primm, but it's a weird little town with casinos, but it's tiny, and it's like just an exit off the freeway, and you kind of are like, well, this is odd, and it wasn't busy, and I don't know how they stayed in business. Apparently, on the weekends, everybody comes from California.
Sure.
Crosses the border and gambles at Nevada. So anyhow, it was. It sounds like a similar. It's just pretty much roll it up and disappear the whole place. Yeah. If you didn't have gamblers coming in,
Trying to
which is weird.
See where
What are you
I'm
looking
for his land.
Oh,
I can't.
well, I just looked on the inside of Theodore Roosevelt.
Yeah, it's theater. So anyway, if you want to talk about good places to go, look up Medora. So if you go east, Buffalo Gap is the name of the guest ranch, by the way, and it's on the map. I'm looking at Google right now. It's a really neat place. We actually saw a mountain lion when we were on the way there, and it turns out they were doing a commercial for the Minnesota State Zoo, and they had a mountain lion out there that got away, and because there aren't mountain lions out there.
Oh.
And so that was interesting. But yeah, look at Medora.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, I got Buffalo Gap.
Medora is a
guest ranch.
So my dad used to do stagecoach tours in the summer in Medora. Medora is a traditional supposed to be a traditional Western themed town. So they have big shows and stuff. They have it's a really cool place. If you're looking for a really cool vacation, go out there because they have. Trying to find the show. It's the entrance to the Theodore Roosevelt National State Park, or National Park rather, National State Park. But they also have on the mountain. It's this riding stables. I can't find it.
It almost looks like a ghost
town. It
town.
almost does. I mean, it's tiny, but
there has not been a single. I'm just scrolling through the pictures on Google Maps from Buffalo Gap Guest Ranch, and it's a cool looking little town.
No, that's Buffalo Gap.
There is not a single.
So look at.
There's not a single person
in those pictures. Yeah.
in the pictures.
But if you go to Medora, you'll see Medora is where all the tourists are. So you've got the North Dakota Cowboy Hall of Fame. The pizza place is awesome. You've got the Rough Riders Hotel. Theodore Roosevelt's Presidential Library is there. Town Hall Theater. I'm trying to find. There's one thing. It's up on the top of the hill, but they have a show. Where is it? No, that's the campground. But they have a big show, and it's really cool. Actually, someday I'll have to show you pictures. I won't put any up online, but they have you go up there and you go to the show, and it's a Western themed show, but they have the kids come down on stage and everything, and they get badges for certain things. And Peyton got to go up on stage when she was there. It's an open theater, open amphitheater. It's a lot of fun, and they do one every single day, a couple of times a day. And then you can go to they have a steakhouse, open pit steakhouse, where you go in, you order your meat, and then it's like almost a buffet, but you're watching the meat getting cooked on the open pit. And it's hard to describe, but it's really, really cool. So I would highly recommend it. It's a lot of motorcycle people go there, but it's right off of 94. Yeah, it's neat. It's fun. Oh, the Medora Musical is what they call it.
Medora Musical.
Yeah, and you can see it. So if you pull out from Medora, it's on the western side of Medora.
Yeah.
Interesting. So anyway, that's
that's our little tour of North Dakota.
But supposedly my dad actually said, because I was telling him, that I'm trying to get my pilot's license or thinking about it again, and working on that. But supposedly my dad said he actually has an airstrip that the previous owner put on his property that I didn't know. I've never seen. Obviously, his property is massive, but it's just a hobby farm. There it is. So I'm just gonna see if I can see it from the map. But yeah, it's fun to go out there and visit. It's very interesting, and I would highly recommend if you're ever looking for a place to visit. I would even if it's a short trip, probably more so a short trip. To go out there, it's fun.
We did during COVID did a drive, and I know I've talked about this too, to South Dakota, and it was a lot of fun. Long trip, but it's 80-mile-an-hour speed limit, which is helpful. But yeah, it's sometimes it's just fun to get in the car
Yes.
and go, and we did did hotels rather than camping. Some people might prefer to camp or RV it or something like that, but it's really, it's nice driving. The roads were great. Probably not in the winter.
No,
but,
actually, they're okay. If you are ever okay with driving in the winter, it's just fine. They're fine.
Yeah, I'm just saying that depending upon weather systems
Right,
and things like that, it was fabulous in the summer. It was a nice, easy ride and good weather. And all of that.
I just put the coordinates to my dad's farm in chat if you want to look at it from a sky view.
Nice. I'm gonna want to see that.
But along those lines, so we're talking about this summer coming up in July. I said Jen has a conference in Colorado. My team is talking about having a conference in Colorado, strangely enough. And then I'm also supposed to go visit my dad this summer on at the end of July because he had a friend who passed away and he's having a celebration of life on the 30th. And it's all kind of coming together. I'm hoping it's all kind of coming together where Jen's conference is the weekend before my conference, and then this celebration of life is the weekend after the conference. So I'm trying to talk them into taking the Jeep, loading it out, loading all the camping gear up, and driving out to Colorado the week before. So taking half a week off there, driving out there, camping along the way, doing her conference. Then they can do whatever they want while I'm doing my conference, and then we get in the Jeep and drive to my dad's and camp along the way, even though it's only a 7-hour drive. And then go visit my dad, cool. Do the celebration of life, take a half a week off, and drive back to Nashville from my dad's. That would be a dream to be able to do and camp along the way. Now it's just trying to talk my girls into doing it. Because Jen's idea, I mean, she's been a great. She has tried it. She likes it. I don't know if that would go too extreme for her though. Because that's it's going to be 2 or 3 days without showers.
Well, there's got to be a creek there somewhere.
I'm sure. Well, actually, I was probably going to get one of those $50 pop-up shower tents, and then that would be a smart thing to do. So we'll see.
That would not be bad. Or the Jeep can pull a small. What do they call those? Scamps.
Yeah.
It's a little scamp.
We've talked about that too. We have.
That would be kind of, and they're. I don't know what the.
You see, we have a couple of tents. We have a 4-person tent, and we have a 6-person tent, and we could toss either or both in the back and go. But I'm still leaning, even though we have those tents, I'm still leaning into getting a rooftop tent. I just think those are much nicer, so much easier.
There are some cool ones, and then they typically keep the mountain lions
exactly.
at bay.
And that's exactly it. I'm actually less scared about mountain lions and bears because I know how to handle that. Something I didn't grow up with, as I'm sure you didn't as well, it's really the only thing that truly freaks me out. Snakes. We had snakes in Minnesota and Wisconsin, but we didn't have we didn't have poisonous snakes, and Tennessee has rattlesnakes and copperheads. Scare me to death. North Dakota has a lot of rattlesnakes. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty scary. Were you able to pull it up, by the way? Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm looking. This is before he sold his truck, because I can see he traded in. Say, if you can actually see a white truck in front of the house, which is the lower building.
Oh, so I did not do that. It's not showing any pictures at that locale.
Oh, you just turn on your satellite. Your satellite layer.
Turn on your satellite.
My satellite layer is on. I can see my dad's white. He bought a truck from me, and it was a white truck, and I can see that in front of the house. And then I see he had another white truck that was pulling his horse trailer. Because it was a gooseneck, and I see that one in the yard. He traded both of those in for a new truck, so I can tell that this is an older picture.
Well, and it's interesting. And when they update them too, that makes it fun. Where we're building the house for a long time, obviously it was just brush, and then apparently they updated it since they cleared the land, so it still doesn't have the house. I would like it if it had the house completed, so we could look at it on Google Maps. But no such luck. But yeah.
I'm actually also looking at it. He's got a little trash dump that he puts stuff in, and I can tell it's
You're checking out the trash dump.
Because in the trash dump would be normally he's got an old hot tub out there, and he had an old farm truck. It was a red truck, and that's sitting out there next to the hot tub, and it's not in these pictures. So,
ladies and gentlemen, for more stalking delightfulness, you're going to want to check us out next week too. Because we'll be stalking. Who knows? We may be going after your place. If you'd like us to stalk your place, find out what's there, and maybe look at the garbage heap, we'll be happy to do that.
Yep. It's
because
that's what we do. That's how we roll. Yeah, I see my stepmom's car. I see my cousin's car. That's fun. That's fun. It's always fun when you do that. I don't see.
But what I know is because I tried to zoom in. You can't get that close. You're looking from quite a ways away.
Yeah, but you can still see horses. You can count horses.
You can, but I'm not going to. Yeah, I don't see any horses.
Really? All those black spots in the field? There's no water out there, buddy. Those are all horses.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah, those are cockroaches.
Yeah,
they look like cockroaches.
You notice there's probably up there, so you can actually see he's got a really mean white horse, and I can see that horse too. That one's so. I know people are probably going, "What the hell are they talking about?" So in one of his pastures, you see 8 or 10 horses, all in the same pasture, and then you see another pasture on the other side of the house, same size, 1 horse, and it's because that horse is so freaking mean he can't put it in with anything else.
I am pretty sure that most people who listen and view our podcast spend much of their time either rolling their eyes, sleeping, or saying, "I knew this could get worse."
Yep. And exactly.
So, yes,
I did find the airstrip though. At least I would call it an airstrip.
What would everyone else call it?
A line in dirt.
A body of water.
Yeah, it's
don't land there.
Yeah, it's in the pasture to the left of the house, and it's right along the fence line, which I know you can't really tell what.
I'm not going to look. I'm looking at our listeners and viewers. Hi, listeners and viewers.
Yeah. So anyway,
at some point,
it's kind of
you
fun.
Will stop. I promise. Good
Yeah.
transition.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't you have a transition recording?
Oh yeah. Hold on. Let's. We're transitioning now, folks, to.
Hey, let's transition to saying goodbye because Shazam, we're looking at Google Maps.
I clicked transition.
Go ahead. Damn it.
Oh.
Not even the transition.
It doesn't want us to transition. It's like, you guys are done. You guys are
wants
done.
us to stay on this same path. Talk more about what you see on Google Maps satellite view.
Exactly.
Well, I see the Playboy Mansion. Is that even open anymore? What? The Playboy Mansion.
No, that's a good question. I just saw something on a YouTube, one of those pop-ups that suggests stuff for you, and it's all about the new, and it said the new Playboy jet. $15 million jet. So, I don't know. Maybe they're...
Great. Is that going to be your... Didn't Hooters do like a Hooter
Yeah, we talked about it. We had a whole episode on the Hooters airline.
We didn't have a whole episode on anything. You could pick one topic. Remember when we did the entire episode?
For as long as our episodes are, though, one little topic could be someone else's entire episode.
That's because we move. Come on, move on to the next thing. What's the next thing?
Yeah, none of my sound effects are working. What did you do? You broke it.
I can do the sound effects. I can be like the guy on Police Academy.
Well,
so just tell me
if I turn on preview, I can hear it. See, it just went, but I know you can't.
We
hear
can't.
It. So I could go.
Can't you just imitate?
Boom, boom, cha.
That seemed terrific. So. That was really good. I don't think we need the real one.
Exactly. All right, folks. John is trying to get me off, and I want to keep talking, but he won't let me off.
Could we rephrase that, please? Because I don't want that to live in infamy.
It's too late, buddy. Too late.
Off the air.
Off the air. And speaking of off the air, let's get off the air.
Yes, let's.
Folks, thank you for suffering along with us today. It has been fun, but I don't know why you want to get off the air.
off the air.
But I guess you do. So I'll acquiesce to your request.
Ooh, nicely done with the
Thank you.
acquiesce.
That's one of my favorite words. I never get to use it, but I love it. It came from, but I have to say, and not trying to be divisive or political, but that came from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Of course it did. Where else would it come from?
I'd like to acquiesce to your request. Anyway.
That's terrific.
Folks, have a wonderful rest of your week. I hope you've enjoyed this 2-part series of the PoddiMouths Podcast.
One part at a time. There's no way you could handle the whole 2 parts
I'm
together.
thinking that the title to both is going to be Filtered Water, Second Grade Sleeper, and Grass and Shirt. So I hope you enjoyed Filtered Water, Second Grade Sleeper, Grass and Shirt, Part 2. That's how good we are. We have our title now, and I haven't even
That's
edited.
how good you are. I never make the titles, except I think I did Unwashed.
Yeah, you did. You did Unshowered. Well, you've done a couple. You just don't realize you do, because most of the stuff that I pick is coming out of your mouth.
That's true. I don't know who said that. You're brilliant. That was you.
Yeah, exactly. I just write it down. I'm here for the ride. I don't say very much. I don't talk. I have a very small ego, and I don't say very much. And you know what? I don't judge people.
You have an ego that you push around your lawn.
I have a huge ego. Yes, all up and down my yard. Yep, literally, because it's 30-degree angle. Anyway,
Literally,
not figuratively. Literally.
No, literally.
It's legit.
It's been a pleasure. Let's legit.
Too legit
Nice
to
to
quit.
see
Nice
you.
to see you too.
I appreciate
your time,
everybody. Thanks for.
Oh no, you're talking. I thought you were talking to the audience.
I appreciate the listeners.
Oh
and
come on,
viewers,
do we really need to? I mean, there aren't very many of them.
Well, now they fall
Yeah,
asleep.
if you've made it this far in the episode, smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe.
And wake up! It's time to go home.
Bill, it's time to end the walk, sir.
Bill, no, he's still walking.
He is. Well, he's got to listen. Now he's got to listen to 2 episodes, so he's probably walked twice at this point.
Oh, he may. He's probably tired. Bill, sleepy. Go to bed.
All right, folks. Talk to you later. Bye.